Hi, I'm Rob.
And I'm Rob.
And this is Ask Rob and Rob.
Welcome to Ask Rob and Rob. Thank you for joining us for 2 more listener questions and 2 more answers. Those questions coming up in just a sec. But it's so easy, Rob, to send your question our way.
The easiest way to do it is go to propertyhub.net/ask, where you will find our telephone number that you can leave a message on, or you can leave a message directly on that page. And you can get a link to where you could submit your question for the Sunday Times, because Rob and I answer your questions each and every week in the home section of the Sunday Times. So make sure you check us out there. Our first question on the show comes in from Jackie.
Hi, Rob and Rob. My name's Jackie. I love your program. I've got myself in a pickle. I bought an off-plan property investment with a 50% deposit paid up front to the developer. So I put £60,000 down to the developer. And it was due to complete a week ago. The balance was to be paid by mortgage. Now, the issue I'm having is the developer hasn't given the surveyor access to actually survey the property and release the mortgage funds. So it's been 5 weeks that they've not allowed access to date, which means I missed completion. I've been given an unofficial extension until next week. The issue is the developer still isn't allowing the surveyor to access the property to perform a survey, so I still haven't got my mortgage funds. Now, the developer said if I don't complete by next week, they're keeping my £60,000 and they're keeping the property because they're within their rights to rescind the contract. However, they're blocking the survey. Is there anything I can do here to force them to give me an extension or force them to allow the survey to take place? Now, this company, I must say, I've heard they've done that to 5 other people. And I'm starting to wonder whether this is a deliberate scheme where they don't allow access and then keep people's properties and keep people's money. Any advice would be greatly appreciated. I look forward to hearing your program. Thank you.
Jackie, this is not good. Very sorry to hear about this situation. And this is not something I've come across before. It's very normal for a mortgage lender to want to conduct a re-inspection just before they release the funds, and I've not come across a developer blocking access for them to do that before. I can't think of any legitimate reason why they'd want to do that. And we, through our business Property Hub Invest, deal with hundreds and hundreds of transactions every year. And whenever we're working with developers in this situation, they're all too eager to allow inspections because they want the completion to happen. They want the sale to be finalised. So I don't know why they could be doing this, and I don't have any legal advice for you, but nor should I, because you shouldn't be taking legal advice from some guy on a podcast. You need to be leaning on your solicitor here. You've got a solicitor working for you in this transaction. This should jump out to them as being highly unusual, and they should know what potential remedies and actions there are to resolve it. Because I don't know if contractually the developer is allowed to do what they're doing, but it seems like there must be something that your solicitor can do to get this resolved for you. I am a touch worried by the fact that you are asking the question and they haven't been able to resolve it for you already, that you might have a solicitor that was recommended to you by the developer. If you do, then go out and find another solicitor to act for you quickly and get some advice from them, because the one you have won't be truly independent. Why do I have that suspicion? Well, it's because of the other thing that jumps out at me from this question, which is that you put down a 50% deposit. 50% deposits are also highly unusual. And the kind of transaction where a developer asks for that could also be the type of transaction where they encourage you to use a solicitor recommended by them. You often see these go together, so that's why I bring it up. So Jackie, in your case, push your solicitor to get this resolved for you, and if you don't believe that you're getting the advice you need from them, then get a second opinion, because this is not normal. And for anyone else listening, this is such an important point. Do not put down a 50% deposit. We've said it countless times, but we can never say it too many times. Never put down more than a 10% deposit. And make sure that that deposit is held in escrow or protected by warranty. At any higher amount than 10%, it can't be protected by warranty, therefore it's at risk. And we've got a free course about buying off plan that tells you everything that you need to look out for to protect yourself. And you can protect yourself against situations like this if you know what to look out for. So we'll link to that in the show notes. And Jackie, best of luck.
Yeah, best of luck, Jackie. I hope it resolves itself for you, and there's some great advice there from Rob. Next up, we have a question in from Tom.
Hi, Rob and Rob. It's Tom here. I've been listening to your programs for probably 6 to 8 months. Loving the content. Thanks very much. I've got a quick question, and it's to do with ICR, which I didn't really know much about until fairly recently. I understand that basically if you want to remortgage property and you don't meet certain criteria, you might face having to increase rents in order to remortgage, to pull cash out, to recycle or sell the property. And I just wanted to check, wondered if you could explain the whole thing a bit better and advise if this is something that's caused you any issues when it comes to refinancing. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Okay, so ICR, or often referred to as a rental stress test. What is it? Okay, so you will get a certain amount of rent each month and you'll have a certain amount to pay on your mortgage. And you may assume wrongly that as long as your rent can cover the mortgage, you're fine. But no, that's not the case. One of the measures introduced since the last property crash is that lenders now want to make sure that you are able to be stressed and that your rent can cover the amount of mortgage that needs to be paid, not just now, but in the future. So what they will do is they'll say, okay, your mortgage cost is whatever. You need to be able to pay that mortgage with your rent at 125% of that level and at a certain rate. So recently, it's been all over the place what that rate has been. But historically, over the last however many years, often it's been 5.5%. So at 5.5% interest rate measurement, can you cover it at not just the amount, the 100% of your mortgage cost, but 125% at 5.5%? Now, this is often easy to achieve outside the southeast, but harder to achieve within the southeast of England. So if you're in Scotland, Wales, north of England, Midlands, you'll be fine. Most properties you purchase will meet the stress test. Not all, but most. Of course, there are always exceptions. But you'll find you'll meet those stress tests more often than not. It's investors in the southeast who are either remortgaging or looking to buy a property for the first time who tend to struggle with these stress tests. It is pretty easy to do. It's much easier for me to visually do this and write it down on a bit of paper and you probably absorb it. But speak to your mortgage broker. If you're not using a mortgage broker, you must absolutely use one. We still use mortgage brokers today. Even though we give advice on mortgages, we probably know more about mortgages than 99% of people out there, we still use brokers because they are just up to date on the latest tests, the latest criteria and the latest products. It's so hard to keep up to date with all of that. It may seem simple just looking at a Best Buy table and picking the top and then going for it, but then you could fall foul of not meeting the stress test, for example, because you didn't know anything about it. So my advice here, not that you asked for it, is use a mortgage broker. You can search for visualizations of what I've just explained, but basically, wherever your mortgage is, you need to see 125% of that with rent, and it's stressed at around 5.5%. But the amount it's stressed at will change depending on where the market is at any given time.
Thank you for those questions. We'll be back to answer more questions next week, and we'll be answering questions in the Sunday Times, of course, on Sunday. But before then, we'll see you for the Property Podcast on Thursday. Until then, have a great week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.